Hello, and welcome to the We Are Not Afraid Hero panel. I'm really Shia Brumfield, bringing you springtime greetings from CBS 2 Chicago, and I'm thrilled to be with you all today. CBS 2 has been a proud partner of the American Red Cross of Illinois for many, many years, and we are absolutely thrilled to celebrate the everyday heroes among us at the Hero event. This year is no exception, and I cannot wait for everyone listening in today to meet each of you. Now, our audience may have seen a short snippet of your individual hero stories, but I'd love to begin with each of you sharing your story. Let's start with Lori. Can you share a little bit more about your story with us today?
Sure. I am a hospice nurse, a hospice supervisor actually, and I was working from home because of the COVID pandemic. My daughter and her family were visiting. My son-in-law looked out the window and saw that there was a car in the retention pond that is in front of my condo. Um, he hollered, I went out, and there were people standing around the pond. I asked if there was anybody in the car, and the answer was yes, there's a lady in the car. So I got in the pond and I swam over to her car, ended up on the passenger side of the car. The lady was still in her driver's seat. And I knew that if I was going to get her out, she needed to come over to my side of the car. The car was sinking, and she was really panicky. I managed to get her to calm down enough so that she listened to me and actually did move over to the passenger side. I had asked her if she could swim, and the answer was no. Once I got her to move over towards me, the car went down and I pulled her out of that window at the last second. We both went under the water with the suction from the car going under. It pulled us both down. Since I knew she couldn't swim, grabbed her by her clothes and started to move in.
An amazing heroic story indeed. Welcome and thank you for sharing. Jennifer, how about you? Can you share a little bit about your story with us today?
Thank you for having me. One day last June, I came into work, and it was kind of a slower day. There was one of the pharmacy employees who was in the waiting room waiting for the pharmacy to open, and he had slumped over in his chair since me passing by a few minutes before and was unresponsive. Luckily, I was able to wave down a couple people that were walking into work for the morning, where we were able to get a code blue called and get him onto the floor, and I was able to start CPR. Within a minute, there were probably 20 other people there to help. We got a breathing tube put in him, got IV started, and we were able to get his heart back within a few minutes. And he is still alive today.
We're going to go ahead and shift to Officer Collins.
My name is Officer Collins, and I work for the Chicago Police Department. And during my first week of training, I was part of the response team for a mass shooting. When I arrived, I helped a victim as well as helped her boyfriend. It was very chaotic. It was very different, being as though it was my first week, but I took control of the situation.
Thank you, Officer Collins. Wow, amazing. And we are so excited to have you here today. Josh and Marcus, please share a bit about yourselves with our audience today.
So it's great to be with you all. I'm Joshua, and I'm a student here at Western Illinois University. I'm a sophomore and a resident assistant within the dorm halls. And so just a regular night, wasn't such a regular night anymore, but during that night, I encountered a active shooter incident within my hallway, which resulted in one of my residents being shot. And so I was helping and aiding in that, and that is where I ran into Marcus. And so,
yeah, my name is Marcus. I'm a senior resident, also a resident assistant. I was on the floor because a fire alarm was going off after I heard gunshots, and I saw Josh taking control of the situation, and I aided along with him.
What training have you had that was instrumental in responding to this particular emergency? Officer Collins, can we start with you this time?
Training that I received was in the academy, and it's called LEMART, and it stands for Law Enforcement Medical and Rescue Training. I really, really appreciated that training because it let me be able to do my job thoroughly when the time came during that mass shooting. If it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't have known what to do as far as addressing the situation, as far as making sure the gunshot wounds are closed, to the fact of wrapping the gauze and everything like that. So I'm really grateful for that training.
We are grateful as well. Jennifer?
Thank you. Even in nursing school, we have to get CPR certified, and I've done so every 2 years since then. And I am also ACLS certified, and I had actually just done my recertification online portion of the ACLS a week or two before this event happened. So it was really fresh in my brain. I was able to act pretty quickly.
Lori, how about you? What training has helped you, particularly in this moment?
Well, I've been trained as a nurse, and I think that that probably helped me remain calm, and it also helped me to have the lady in the car calm down. Also, interestingly enough, about 45, 46 years ago, I trained as a lifeguard. So some of that training definitely the swim lessons paid off. Some of the lifeguarding lessons probably did as well.
Thank you for sharing. Josh and Marcus, I asked the same of you both. What training was instrumental for you?
My training here, we didn't really actually get any training for active shooter situation for our school. And so I really had to think about my personal experiences within some programs like ROTC, where they taught us how to address gunshot wounds and making sure to stop bleeding and things of that nature.
I've had a few experiences as an RA involving bodily injury that came that helped during the situation, as well as the dispatch 911, what the dispatcher was telling us.
The theme of today's panel is We Are Not Afraid. And I thank you all for trusting your intuition and being so selfless as you served as heroes during these extraordinary times. So I have one last question. How has your life changed after your heroic act of service?
I think getting used to hearing the word hero is something that has been ongoing for this whole year for anybody who is in healthcare. And so been referred to a hero in that regard. But now being called a hero for something that I did myself, it's a little hard to get used to. How has my life changed? Just a greater appreciation for family, friends, the people that I work with. I'm very aware of what could have happened that day. It did not have to end the way that it did. And so in that regard, it just makes me more and more appreciative of every day of my life.
Officer Collins, I have the same question for you. How has your life changed after your heroic act of service?
I get a lot of recognition now from different officers while I'm at work. I appreciate it. I don't know how to say it, but I don't consider myself to be a hero. The real heroes are the people that work with me. Like everyday people that I see all the time are pretty much heroes to me.
Yes, I love that though. I love how you recognize the hero in everyday people. That is what this ceremony and this celebration is all about. Josh and Marcus, if you can share a little bit from your perspective, how has your life changed or what has inspired you since your heroic act of service?
Sure thing. So I, like everyone else has been saying, the hero word is something to get used to. It's not something I really attached myself to before the incident. So I'm really getting used to hearing the word hero, as well as something that Miss Lori has touched on is that I'm trying to enjoy life much more than what I did before. Even when the pandemic happened, like something I have recognized is I need to get out more, see my family more, and things of that nature. So I most definitely understand and know with that incident, it could have ended differently. I could have been gone, but things are different. And so therefore, I'm going to cherish it that way.
Thank you all. Jennifer, we would love to hear from you. How has your life changed after your heroic act of service?
I am friends with Greg's wife on Facebook, and I keep up with him and her and what they're doing with their life and how things are going. But other than that, I'm still doing what I was doing before. I'm just glad that somebody else is still able to be with their family member, and their lives haven't drastically changed from this event.
If you could leave our audience with one thought, comment, or piece of advice, what would it be?
I think the one thing that I would leave people to think is being CPR certified can, as my case perfectly explains, like, you can save a life. It's very easy to do. You never know when you're going to need this skill set, and always, like, know your surroundings, know what's going on around you. I could have, been playing on my phone, walking to and from what I was doing, and wouldn't have even noticed Greg in the chair, but I did, and I think with just me paying attention and my skill set was really helpful for his outcome.
Officer Collins, can you go ahead and share?
Don't be afraid to ask for help, whether it's your neighbor, a member of your church, or my profession, an officer. It's always going to be somebody there to help you with anything that you need.
Josh and Marcus, what about you? What final words or piece of advice would you leave our audience with today?
When it comes to a traumatic situation, something that was big for me is mental health, and that's what came to the forefront of this incident. So I would always say, like, no matter what's going on and what the people are saying around you, if you need the help, just go ahead and seek the help. Talk about it. Talk about the situation.
These situations, traumatic situations, either large or small, doesn't really matter the scale. They can really affect you, and it's a process that you can't rush, and you need to look for support from your community in order to move on and move past these scenarios.
So powerful and so true. Thank you both, Marcus and Josh, for sharing. And Lori, we'll end with you.
I think everybody should learn to swim. If I didn't know how, I don't think that lady would have been alive today. And if she had known how to swim, it would have made the rescue a whole lot easier. I just think that it is a vital life skill to have, is the ability to swim.
Wow, a day of inspiration indeed. Thank you all again for your time and your commitment to your communities. And thank you to our audience for joining us today. Please sit tight and you'll be returned to the Heroes main event momentarily. Thank you. Be well.